purely physical nor metaphysical, because whatever is happening in our world, the materialistic development, the science and technology, we will never go back. We will never go back to that idea of pristine pure society, because that is a forward movement. And those cultures which are not affected yet with this materialistic development are going to be affected. We cannot stop it. Number one. Number two, we cannot bring people of the world to those aspects of yoga which are very advanced. The samadhis, the pratyahar, the dhyan, except few. So we have to find a way in this yoga which suits the need of both these. The people of the matter, people of the senses, people of the body, and also those supreme aspects of yoga. Because only finding that middle path somewhere which unite both, there is a possibility of change. Otherwise, these two parties will be going in their own way forever and never unite. And that, personally, I found in somatofulness. What is somatofulness? Behind this body, in this body, there is a life's energy. So there is a framework, there are senses, but underneath there is a life energy. And the beauty of that life energy is it is unconditioned, it is eternal, it is unchanged, it flows all the time, and we can feel it. Because from a materialist, from a scientist, I cannot ask those superior aspects of chitta to reach to the Kaivalya, to the Dharmega Samadhi. Because these people will always ask, listen, tell me what is easy, which I can touch, which I can feel, which is with me all the time. And that is what happens in this body, this life force, this vital force is always there. And that life force is the meeting point of the world of the materialistic tendencies, outer world, and also the various levels of consciousness. So it is almost in the middle. So once I feel and follow this energy which is buzzing in my body in the form of sensation, because that is the language of this energy, I can access it. I can focus upon it. And as I focus upon it, it will gradually expand in my body. From sensations, it will become sensual. And sensual here doesn't mean in a negative way. Sensual means when my whole body is vibrating with this sensation of the energy of vital force. And this vital force, this energy will open my brain centers for the reward and pleasure. Because ultimately what I want is maximum happiness, maximum living, and maximum fulfillment. And that is very physical because that is a part of our body. Reward and pleasure center. So once this energy expands, prana expands, it will open these pleasure centers. So what we experience is moving from sensations to sensual. And if we continue to follow it, it will lead us to sensuousness. Sensuousness means finally this life energy will break the boundary of individuality and the body, and it will merge with the life force of all living beings and non-living beings, plants, animals, a butterfly, a flower. But this process is not metaphysical. This is not abstract. This is not an idea. It is a complete, concrete feeling in this body. So my body becomes the door. And to me, that is the purpose of asanas, yoga poses. Yoga pose is to open the door in my body to access this fully. And in fact, Om, which is mentioned by Patanjali in Yoga Sutra, is nothing else but vibration of this vital force in my body. But it is only partially available to me. So that is the whole process of somatofulness. So if we really want to bring the health and healing in yoga, we have to focus on this energy, because all healing without exception happens through energy. If energy is not there in the person, we cannot heal either physically or mentally, because our emotions and thoughts, they don't have energy. They depend on this vital energy, which we access. And the beauty is we can access it so easily, but because materialist focused on the external and the spiritualist focused on something metaphysical, this vital energy was ignored. In fact, in this process, what will happen when this energy is spreading? It will break our old emotional and mental patterns. It will be like a flood washing away everything, healing. And not only healing, then we will experience through it higher levels of consciousness, about which Patanjali talks: Vitark Samadhi, Savichar Samadhi, Asmita Samadhi, Anand Samadhi, Dharma Mega Samadhi, and finally Nirvikalp, and through that Kaivalya. That can be approached not from the top, but from this easily accessible energy. And that is the whole effort of somatofulness, because somatofulness word come from soma. Soma in Greek means body. Soma in Sanskrit means elixir of life, nectar of life, which gives us immortal bliss. So somatofulness is attention to something concrete, which a materialist as well as a spiritualist can agree upon and meet there. A very direct, the most simple and easy way. Because this energy has no religion, no caste, no culture, it is just the pure movement. And for a scientist, it is very easy to understand. And also people who are involved in yoga, they will understand very easily. And by accessing that, we heal ourselves, we experience health, and not only our health, it is the health of the earth also, because without that health, we cannot be healthy. And that is the idea of somatofulness. Just something emerging from yoga. And what are the signs of health and healing? physically a radiant face, lustrous eyes, energetic movement. If these three are there, means I'm physically healthy. But in yoga, we don't talk only about physical health, mental health also, because in yoga, mind and body are one. So what is mental and emotional health? Again, there are three features. Number one is a sense of well-being, feeling good about myself and the world is the first feature of mental health. Second one is sense of compassion and love in our heart. That is the second feature of the emotional and mental health. And the third feature is creativity. Because once we are healthy, there is so much surplus energy. It is into the nature of things that the surplus energy spills out in the form of creativity, which happened even to the first cell which emerged on this earth 3 billion years ago. That cell was not only maintaining its equilibrium, it was ready to create more and more. Many cells joined, plants came, animals came, and finally humans. That is the definition of physical and mental health, achievement of somatofulness. So with that, I will stop here. Thank you and Sahajaste.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jivasu. That was really inspirational and for explaining us the process of somatofulness. I was personally very keen to know about this and I'm really happy to have heard you and to understand this process more in detail, and that you took us through how this is an amalgamation of not only physical but also mental and emotional health. Thank you so much for your time, and I'm sure you would be here for the question and answer session we have at the end.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So now we move on to our next speaker, Swami Ashokananda. Swami Ashokananda is a monk since 1975. He is the president and spiritual director of the New York Integral Yoga Institute, as well as one of the Integral Yoga's foremost teachers, sharing the wisdom of his guru, Sri Swami Satchidananda, around the world. He is an avid student of the great Indian scripture, the Bhagavad Gita, as well as a devoted practitioner of Hatha Yoga. Swami Ashokananda leads the intermediate and advanced Hatha Yoga teacher training, both in the US and abroad. He is the co-chair with Swami Ramananji of the Integral Yoga Global Network. For 13 years, he served as the president of Satchidananda Ashram Yoga Village and Integral Yoga International. May I request Swami Ashokananda to please share his thoughts on yoga and health.
Thank you, Ranjini. After that beautiful talk by the doctor, let's pause for a moment. Maybe let's take a slow, deep breath. Let's do one Om together. And I'll do a brief Sanskrit chant. Inhaling. Om. Omkaram bindu samyuktam nityam jayanti yoginaha kamadam mokshadam chaiva omkaraya namo namaha. Om shanti shanti shanti. Am I heard okay? How's the volume? Ranjini, can you hear me okay? Okay,
yes,
good.
Perfect.
Okay, good. So I want to thank Dr. Mishra for inviting me to say a few words at this wonderful event. I like to keep things very simple in my life. So I just have two things that I'm trying to achieve in this lifetime. To keep my instruments, the body and the mind, in good shape, as good a shape as possible. And to experientially know that I'm not the body and the mind. Not conceptually, I want to experience myself as distinct from the body and the mind. That's what I'm trying to achieve in this birth. Keeping the instruments in good shape means to maintain one's physical and mental strength and flexibility. It's important for worldly success and maybe even more important for spiritual life. We need a strong body to withstand the power of the awakened Shakti flowing through our system that the good doctor spoke about a moment ago. And we need a cheerful, resilient, persevering mind to keep us moving forward despite all the difficulties we face on the path. Since this conference is about yoga and health, we need to talk a bit about the science and art of Hatha Yoga. We should keep in mind the distinction between a Hatha Yoga teacher and a fitness instructor. For the last 5 years or so, I've been working with a group of yoga teachers in China, and they could do the asanas far better than I could do even in my heyday. I couldn't move my body the way they can. And they're very popular, experienced yoga teachers. But recently they said to me, we were so proud of our knowledge and skill in teaching yoga. You've opened our eyes to how little we really knew. And you're showing to what yoga truly is. And all I did was show them the place of asanas in the context of the full system of yoga. The most authoritative text in Hatha Yoga, like Patanjali's Yoga Sutra is for Raja Yoga, is the Hatha Yoga Pradipika by a yogi named Swaparama. And he starts off the scripture by being very clear that asana and pranayama, which makes up Hatha Yoga, are important limbs in this 8-limb system or Ashtanga Yoga system. But he also says that these 2 limbs are not to be practiced outside of the full scope of Raja Yoga. The purpose of these 2 limbs is to help us to attain the goal of Raja Yoga, which is Chitta Vritti Nirodha, to help the mind to become quiescent. So he's very emphatic about these 2 limbs not standing on their own. You need the 2 limbs prior to the 3rd and 4th limb, and you need the 4 limbs after the 3rd and 4th limb. If you don't have yama niyama, and then asana pranayama, and if you don't have dharana, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi, people still call it yoga, they're practicing yoga, but probably Swaparama wouldn't call it that. Something around physical fitness, maybe, not yoga. Physical fitness is good, but let's not confuse it with yoga. If we really are practicing Hatha Yoga as a part of the holistic system of yoga, then as our practice progresses, we'll find ourselves getting less attached to the physical body, less identified with the physical body. We love the body, we take care of it, but it's not me. For example, my guru, Swami Satchidananda, would say, when was the last time you thought about your big toe? Probably haven't given much thought lately. Unless there's some problem there, your mind is going to go to your big toe. And it's the same with the whole body. If the whole body isn't giving us a problem, our mind won't get latched onto the body. It'll be moved to a higher level. I do see how the yoga postures and the pranayama have helped me to improve my physical health greatly. I had very bad asthma growing up. I wasn't very physically strong. Hatha Yoga really did a wonderful thing for me. But I could also see that no matter how good a shape I keep my body in, if I'm identified with it, then I'm greatly limiting who I really am. And also, I have to keep in mind that no matter how healthy the body is, it's going to die at some point. As the doctor mentioned, the spirit never dies, but the body will. And as I discover through my practice that I'm less and less identified as the body, I simultaneously discover that other people aren't their bodies either. And when I no longer identify people as their bodies, I can see them as people. I don't think anything disrupts a relationship more than treating someone as a physical object. On the other hand, nothing will deepen a relationship than the real concern that we have for the person's welfare when we're not identifying them as their body jackets that they wear. And I find that as my practice deepens, even a more astonishing experiential discovery awakens, that I'm not the mind either. Every painful thing in our life can be traced back to identifying ourselves as the mind, or the voice in our head. The mind is made up of these conditioned tendencies called samskaras. They distort our perception. They pre-program us to react in certain ways. I think I came into this life with a samskara that gravitated me toward worry. And my guru seemed to pick up on it. I as a pre-monastic, my name was Swami, was Brother Vivekananda. So I thought when I became a Swami, I'd become the great Swami Vivekananda. But as he was giving out names, there were 27 of us who took sannyas picture. He gave someone else the name, Swami Vivekananda. So I'm wondering, what's my name going to be? And he had to say, Swami Ashokananda. I said, what? What's that? I wasn't very happy with my sannyas name. But I think my guru nailed it. You know, shoka, worry or sorrow, anxiety, ashoka, free from, the bliss, ananda, the bliss of being free from. And he really hit me on that samskara that was affecting my life. I learned to really love my name. So my mind can still fall into anxiety and sadness, but I find that the sting is less and less as I make headway in experiencing myself as something distinct from my mind. And, you know, I've always been kind of a disciplined person, tries really hard, but I've come to discover that the headway of separating myself from the thoughts, I'm not going to be able to do through willpower alone. I need to depend on God and Guru to help me. I need to surrender in some way my ego structure if I'm going to achieve that. And that's the beautiful part of the Indian tradition of following a spiritual lineage. It's becoming more and more rare in the yoga world. I hope you folks can still hold on to a lineage. We always want to have the highest regard and gratitude for our teacher, the teachings, and the Sangha, and want to stay connected to them as a source of support. So I'm so happy that you formed this organization in Germany. I wasn't aware of it until Dr. Mishra introduced me to it, especially since you're having left your homeland in a new country. It's so important that you stay connected to your roots. So it's my wish that this organization flourish and bring light to many, many souls. So to wrap it up, in conclusion, I would say, keep your body and mind in good shape. Those are the instruments that the Spirit's going to function through. To help you do that, practice your asanas and pranayama as 2 of the 8 limbs, and make sure you're practicing the other limbs of yoga. See that these practices help you to distinguish between the body and mind and the spirit, the real you. Don't depend solely on your own effort. Trust in God and Guru that they're the wind at your back to help you move forward. And be there to support each other. That's also crucial. The Sangha is crucial. So I want to thank again Dr. Mishra for inviting me to be a part of this inspiring conference. I wish you all the best for your spiritual growth, your well-being. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Thank you so much for presenting us with an enlightening talk. I'm sure this will go a long way in understanding the benefits of yoga in health and as a holistic life. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for inviting me. What a beautiful conference. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. So we now move on to our next speaker of the event, Mr. Sukadev Bretz. Sukadev Bretz is founder of Yoga Vidya. He knows wonderfully how to transmit profound wisdom humorously. His special ability is to motivate yoga aspirants to practice intensely, to see a higher meaning in daily experiences, and to bring more energy and heart into everyday life. Sukadev Bretz is the author of 10 books, among them commentaries on Yoga Sutra and Bhagavad Gita. He's quite active spreading yoga via the internet in yoga videos and podcasts in English and German. Sukadev has spiritual experiences from childhood on. As a youngster, he was fascinated by the possibilities of the human mind and started with regular meditation as a teenager. He spent a few times, several months in intense meditation and pranayama. In 1992, Sukadev founded Yoga Vidya, now one of the leading yoga movements in Europe. Yoga Vidya has 4 major ashrams, nearly 100 yoga centers, 20,000 yoga teachers. Today he lives in Germany, in Horn-Bad Meinberg. So, all of y'all get inspiration and energy from this dynamic spiritual leader. We welcome you, Mr. Sukadev Bretz.
Sukadev, I see you have Swami Shivananda on your altar. That's wonderful. That's my lineage also.
Hey, wonderful to know. Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om Namaskar. Thank you for this wonderful introduction. Thank you for inviting me. I'm grateful to Dr. Mishra for this invitation to speak here at this international seminar on yoga, health and healing, organized by the Shakti e.V. and the Consulate of India, Hamburg, and the Indian Institute. The seminar celebrates 70 years of Germany-India diplomatic relationships, but the relationship between India and Germany is much longer. They have a close relationship for, we could say, many hundreds of years. While the British colonized India, many German thinkers in the 18th and 19th century held India as an object of inspiration, of veneration and awe. Especially the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita were held in high esteem by thinkers like Gottfried Herder, Novalis, Schelling, Heinrich Heine, Jean-Paul, Schopenhauer, Nietzsche, and many others. German thinkers translated the Indian scriptures into Latin and then into German. Well, others also contributed to it. And you could say that German culture was highly influenced by Indian culture. And so it is wonderful. These 70 years of diplomatic relationship, India and Germany, is is just a symbol of, for many centuries, of friendship between Germany and India. Also for a long time, in German Indologists like Max Müller and many others, they were leading in exploration of Sanskrit's text and Indian culture. And Shaktya e.V. in Bremen is dedicated to international understanding, tolerance, and intercultural exchange. So it's wonderful that now this conference is one of the many events organized by Shaktya e.V. And of course, many others are now doing events because on Monday there's International Day of Yoga. So this seminar also celebrates International Day of Yoga on June 21. And we as yoga teachers in Germany, we're grateful to Indian government and the Indian Prime Minister that they inspired UNESCO to declare June 21st as International Day of Yoga. And this seminar is also truly international. We have speakers from India, from Germany, US, Italy, and Canada. The word yoga has many meanings. Yoga can mean union, yoga can mean joining, yoga can mean harmony. And to a certain degree, you could say yoga can contribute to a harmony among many people of many cultures, many political systems, many religious traditions. Yoga, on one hand side, one could say yoga comes from Hinduism, or others say Hinduism comes from yoga. Another point of view is even Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism has yoga. Even the Muslims, when they came to India, especially the Sufis, they integrated yogic practices into their practices. And so yoga is always something which unites different cultures. Today we have most likely up to 300 million yoga practitioners in the whole globe. And these days, when we are aware of the International Day of Yoga, we feel this connection and we feel this strong way of communicating with an open heart. Normally, around this time, we would have thousands, dozens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands in different cities practicing yoga at the same time. 2 years ago, there were in India and in many big cities, you had between 10,000 and up to, I think, 50,000. For many years on Times Square, there have been 10 to 20,000 practicing yoga at the same time. Now, it's still pandemic, even though restrictions are less, but we have these Zoom meetings, and in that way we can contribute by uniting many speakers from many continents and many backgrounds, and of course then we can practice. I personally am giving a meditation teacher training course right now, at the same time online and offline, so a few are present, a few others are there with Zoom, and so this has become a way of life, and in all that we feel connected. Ancient yogis felt the connection just via telepathy, being together with the mind. Today we have Zoom, plus we can move physically, plus we have this connectedness with heart and the thought power. The theme of this seminar is, as far as I read it, yoga, health, healing, yoga, health and healing. Yoga, of course, has many aspects. Yoga is for health, yoga is for personality development, and yoga, of course, is also a spiritual practice. When we see yoga for health, we can already say health also has different aspects. You could say, first of all, you can contribute so that your body and mind will be healthy. Secondly, you can heal diseases, that is yoga therapy. And thirdly, of course, health is not forever. At some point, one becomes old, some diseases can strike, and in the end, one leaves this physical body. The ancient yogis, of course, believed in the immortality of the soul, believed when you die, you leave the physical body, and then either you merge with the Supreme or you reincarnate again. Yoga can contribute to all. It's first of all important to practice yoga. When you practice yoga, then you do something for your health, you do something for your well-being. Then if you have diseases, then it's important that you have some nice background music. When we have certain physical problems, then there's yoga therapy. You can practice specialized kriyas, meaning purification exercises. You can practice specialized pranayama. You can practice special ways of asanas, and so on. So with yoga therapy, you can even heal diseases. And the third part is yoga can help you to recognize what is your true nature. And when one recognizes the true nature, then many tensions disappear. Many tensions come from fears, come from anger, from somehow a feeling of missing, lacking something. But when you know in the depth of my being, I am a spiritual being connected with the divine, then nothing can hurt you so easily and you have less tensions. And even if the body dies one day, it doesn't really matter. Today you have many different yoga traditions, as you're surely aware, and I see there are many Indians also here, and Western mind has a specific way to, what did you say, to change yoga and to be creative and create this yoga style and that yoga style and so on. And one can be more critical about it, or you could say, yoga has always been adapting to whatever happens in a civilization. Yoga can adapt to more rural community, more urban communities. Yoga can be practiced by young and by older. Yoga can be practiced more spiritual and more just for health. And yoga can also take different forms. And my personal observation is, even if students practice yoga, which deviates quite a lot from the classical texts, after some times they become interested and they want to know what is really behind yoga, and then they go deeper. And today in the West, the health parts of yoga are mostly practiced like asanas, which remove the tensions, which let the energies flow in the body, which helps to become aware of body and that which is in the body. Then you have pranayama, the breathing exercises, which actually activate prana, the inner energy. You have the relaxation techniques. You have meditation. Important in yoga is also diet. And I would assume also that mantra chanting is important. One thing which I also want to mention about Hatha Yoga regarding health in general. I'm also involved in some cooperations, or Yoga Vidya is involved in cooperation with some universities which check into the effects of yoga for health. They found that regular practice of yoga lowers high blood pressure, helps to get over sleeping problems, sleeping disorders, help to get over back problems, headaches. These are the most common diseases which are yeah, which disappear when one practices yoga regularly. The interesting is also when people practice yoga, they also change their lifestyle in a positive way. One professor in Essen once said, he has never seen somebody practicing Hatha yoga who did not change their diet for the better. Or one study also says those who practice yoga, they are also more active walking or taking steps instead of elevators, and being more loving and kind to others. So I would say yoga itself is very healthy. And secondly, the interesting part for yoga is also that it helps to get a natural sense of what you really need. And when you have a sense of what you really need, then you will also have a more healthy lifestyle. Yes, if you have any questions, you can write them in the chat and then I can answer on it. I just otherwise I have a question, how much more time do I have? Because
We definitely have time if you would like to explain more. So we'll be happy to hear more.
okay. I want to maybe mention there is like when you take Hatha Yoga, it's of course I now could talk about the stretching and so on, but Hatha Yoga is also a practice of awareness, and we have we have in the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali, in the 3rd chapter, we have the so-called samyama. This means the concentration on something. And in this chapter, you also have the kaya samyamas. This means the practice of concentration on certain parts of the body, which you could do with meditation, but you could also do with during the Hatha Yoga practices. And Patanjali, for example, says, if you do samyama on Nabhi chakra, this means the area of your navel, then you get the knowledge of the body. You get knowledge, you could say, of the needs of the body. And so, if one wants to know what the body needs by nourishment and others, then you concentrate on the navel, and then you know what you need. That's part of the reason why when you do Hatha Yoga, diet will change. So one thing, independently of whether you really do Hatha Yoga or meditation or whatever, it's important every day take some moments to feel your navel. Then he says, by concentrating on your heart, Rit chakra, you understand the nature of the mind, the nature of your own mind and the mind of others. You could also say, of course, when you go into your heart, you feel love and you feel joy. You understand yourself better if you understand ourselves better if we concentrate into our heart. And concentrating into our heart means love and joy. When you every day go for a few minutes into your heart, then you have that understanding of yourself, and then it's easy to understand others. Also got the questions, can we get something about pratyahara? Pratyahara means retreat of senses and mind inside. In Hatha Yoga, you would say pratyahara is the deep relaxation technique. By doing the deep relaxation technique, you remove your mind and your senses and your energy away from outside. You go to inside and you find some inner peace. Of course, pratyahara is also the ability to pull your mind back from the senses whenever you want, but in a Hatha Yoga sense, it means deep relaxation. And when you are capable, for example, to go into your heart and feel joy and peace in yourself, then it's always easy to come away from external problems and tensions. Then Patanjali also says, by concentrating on your throat, Kanta Kupa, hunger and thirst disappear. Maybe that could help against overweight, but it's not just physical hunger and thirst. Some people have an inner restlessness and they are greedy, they don't know what they want. There's just always a feeling, I need more. If one concentrates on the throat, then one gets more contentment and one feels more at ease and harmony. Another concentration technique is on Kurumanadi. Patanjali says by concentrating on Kurumanadi, you get steadiness. Now, there are two explanations for this Kurumanadi. Some say Kurumanadi is in your spine and it's the Sushumna where the 7 chakras are. Others say it's like where the sternum is. Both are areas, when you concentrate there, then you get some steadiness and quietness. It's also a problem of our time that many people are restless and they don't know why. By concentrating either on the spine or on your sternum, or maybe on both, then you get some inner strength and steadiness. Kanchan asked then a question, what practices we should practice for pratyahara? Well, in yoga we have deep relaxation techniques or yoga nidra. That is excellent practice for pratyahara. So if you look for deep relaxation technique or final relaxation or yoga nidra, it's part of a typical yoga class. That's the easiest start for pratyahara. Or the exercise, the concentration techniques which I just mentioned, they are also pratyahara techniques. Just one last technique would be, or there's another question. Should I continue or next speaker coming?
Yes, I can take the questions which are on the chat, maybe from the other speakers as well, and then we can continue again with the Q&A if that's okay with you.
Okay, so one more question. That is there a yoga equivalent of the Buddhist practice of mindfulness which lets us to non-judgmentally accept ourselves? Yes, definitely. What is called in Buddhist practice mindfulness, in yoga it's called Sakyabhava. This means the attitude of a witness, which we already find in the Upanishads, so it's actually older than the Buddhist texts. It's basically, you can, in Hatha Yoga, you have the body scan, you go through your body, you have breathing observation, this means you observe your breath. So these techniques, which are today called Buddhist practices, they are Buddhist practices, but they are also ancient yoga techniques.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sukadevji. It was really nice to hear you, and you touched upon so many topics and already answered questions from the audiences. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me. And it's wonderful. I've heard about Shakya e.V. by some of our Indian guests here who also come from Germany. And it's wonderful now finally to see you and be with you, even though it's in internet and Zoom, but it's wonderful that I can be here with you.
Thank you so much. It's nice to hear from you. Thanks a lot. So we now move on to the question and answer session. Some of the questions have also come up from the audiences for Swami Suryananda first. And the participant would like to know how yoga community leads to improve the yoga teacher professional health.
Maestro, l'audio?
Traducimi un po' per favore.
Allora, ti è arrivata una domanda: come può lo yoga nella pratica quotidiana incrementare l'insegnamento dello yoga?
Certo, incrementare l'insegnamento dello yoga, come diceva Gandhi, la mia vita è un esempio, per cui essendo noi di esempio agli altri, un po' l'opinione la influenziamo, ma solo così è un modo sano di influenzare. Senza predicare, noi col nostro esempio possiamo cambiare davvero la società.
As Gandhi used to say that my life is an example. So means that us as a teacher, as yoga practitioners, through our examples, we can influence people, we can bring to people ideas and so on, but not just speaking about, but through our own examples, through our own life examples.
È il modo migliore e più onesto e più rispettoso verso gli altri per far conoscere la nostra disciplina. Cioè, quando tu osservi una persona si comporta bene, è etico e la cosa è convincente di per sé.
It's an ethical way to bring to know this discipline, the yoga. So when people, they see what your life is, how you behave in an ethical way, then you become an example.
Absolutely. I'm sure the participants have benefited and have really enjoyed this. We move on to our next question. That is for Swami Ashokananda. The question is how Yama and Niyama helps in therapy. For Swami Ashokananda. I'm sorry. I think he has already left the seminar. Maybe we could move on to the next question. Maybe some experts here from can answer this question on his behalf. How Yama and Niyama help in therapy. It may be useful to the participants.
Yes, no problem. But Sukadev, you can answer, no?
So how Yama and Niyama helps in therapy. Yes, first of all, the therapist has to be ethical. He has to want to do good, and then he has to be truthful, and he has to not to want from the patient, but wants to give. If one has such a personality, then the therapist will help much more. And then if he has a disciplined life, and you come to the niyamas, tapas, and he knows the themes Svadhyaya is studying regularly and has a happy content life, then it's santosha. And again, many diseases come from the psychological problems, and many of these could be solved uh, by having an ethical life.
Posso aggiungere una cosa?
May I add something else?
Gli yama niyama non sono soltanto delle regole rigide, sono proprio dei consigli di salute, di come si fa a stare bene nella vita.
Yama niyama are not just the strict rules, are like two borders that they keep us steady in a healthy and happy life.
Quando mi siedo a tavola, la non violenza la posso rispettare anche lì, per esempio, verso me stesso. Cioè i yama niyama sono anche verso me stesso, non violenza. Avere, per esempio, abbracciare la moderazione. Gli yama e niyama ti aiutano ad abbracciare la moderazione, l'equilibrio.
For instance, when I sit to a table just in front of my meal, I can use non-violence and respect even while I'm sitting on a table. So these rules, we can say, are also towards us, towards our benefit, towards our healthy lifestyle.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking up the questions. And we have one more question for Dr. Jivasu. And it's a personal question from my side. I would really like to know, as a beginner, how does one implement somatofulness in daily life? How does one start with it?
Right. I think hint of this is already in yoga. And the first part is yama. What is the function of yama? Is to develop a healthy identity. So all 5 parts of yama, they say, unless you have an identity or rooting in a harmonious society, you cannot heal, you cannot move forward. And that is the whole purpose of yama, because with a healthy identity, I'm going to get a healthy self-esteem, which is vital for any child or adult. That is the purpose of yama from my point of view. Now, coming to your direct question, the most important component which is missed in yoga is actually in niyama. And I will tell you why. In niyama, Patanjali mentions about Kriya Yoga. Kriya Yoga. Kriya means action, movement. And Kriya Yoga means Swadhyay, Tapas, and Ishwar Pranidhan. I won't go in detail. I will simply say Swadhyay, because that will give you a clue about somatofulness. Swadhyay means self-study. What is the meaning of self-study? Should I read scripture, endless books? All kinds of teacher in last 10,000 years wrote multiple things. I will need 7 lifetimes. Patanjali, I'm sure, was not indicating that. Swadhyay means studying my own personality. Because yoga and Ayurveda evolved from Sankhya philosophy of Kapila. And in Ayurveda, core is to know my dosha, my natural personality. And in yoga, actually, most people ignore that. That is why all asanas are implemented the same way to all people, not knowing my personality is very different from other person's personality. So once I know my natural personality, what will happen? This life's energy will be released, because now I'm flowing with my mind and body rather than going against it, which 90% people do. Whatever they do in their life is against their personality. That is why they don't succeed. That is why they don't feel happy. That is why there is no pratyahar. So that is the clue to somatofulness. First of all, I must understand my mind, body, personality. Once I understand that, in that is hidden my unique life's energy, which was blocked when, since the age of 4 or 5, every single child goes through the trauma of conditioning and programming by a family, by a culture, by a religion, by a politics. In fact, from yoga point of view, all of us are mentally unhealthy. But because most of us are mentally unhealthy, so we think this is normal. J. Krishnamurti was very clear about it. So the clue to this is knowing my own personality, swadhyay, and out of that will come tapas. Tapas means literally heat. But this is not, I'm trying to create a physical heat, means passion, that energy for life. Because now I know myself, that energy is released. Now I'm passionate about life, thrilled about the life, excitement about the life, so I can move forward. So that is foremost important, because more than 90% people don't know about their mind, body, personality. Once they know, this energy is releasing, and now there are practices. Because what we do in yoga, physical yoga, it is not appropriate for most people, because there are a lot of asanas, body is not flexible, it is very new. That is why we create a naturality yoga for somatofulness, in which you can become a yoga teacher in 2 hours. You can actually become in 1 hour, but 1 hour I explain the biology, psychology, energetics, how it works on my brain, on my spinal cord, on my immune system, because body is your teacher. So whenever you are doing any pose, you are doing according to your body. There is no question of injury. Once you are following your body, what will happen? More and more energy is going to be released. You are feeling those sensations in the body. Now your meditation is focused on that. So there is no other meditation except feeling and focusing on that life energy. And by paying attention, what you will do, this life energy will expand. Eventually, it will fill your whole body. Your whole body will be vibrating like a sound box, like a tuning fork. This is the music of life. I call it this life energy. And you know what is the nature of it? Buzzing of the bees, a hum, which we call Om. Om is always present in the body. It is a primal vibration of life. Once you are at that point, you need not to worry, because now energy will take over and guide you. So we start with 2 things to summarize. Number 1, knowing your personality, which is very easy. In all our programs, we do it. And number 2, there is a set of practice, 3 practice: naturality yoga, some breathing exercise, and meditation on this life's energy, which is always present, which is always physical. You can feel it so clearly. But of course, in fragmented form in the beginning. And once you proceed with this, it will expand, and eventually this life's energy will guide you, and you will be breaking all your past pattern, trauma, memories, which we accumulate, anger, guilt, sorrow. This energy will be washing away, and we will become more and more free to experience higher levels of consciousness. But through this energy, through this somatofulness, through this body. And as I mentioned, once this energy runs through my brain, what happens? There is a whole bar, a tavern. which nature created. It has the most precious wine ever created in our universe, which we call Soma in Vedas. Now you have a whole tavern available, you become a drunkard. You become an alcoholic, a drunkard of life. More you drink, more you are awake. More you drink, more you become wholeness. And precisely all health and healing happens there. But of course, this is not the end, because then you go beyond it, beyond mind and body, into that higher dimension. But I won't talk about it. So that is how we can start knowing personality and practice.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jivasu. That was a perfect answer that I was looking for, and I think the other participants would also completely agree. More important is to know your personality and move your body according to your personality. I completely agree on that.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I would also like to thank other speakers for answering the questions from the participants. And before we move on, may I request also from Mr. John Rungul, the Consul General, if he would like to say some words on International Yoga Day.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's been a very interesting discussion. I think we have all learned a lot from our eminent speakers. So thank you again for organizing this wonderful program. I would also just like to say that 21st of June is International Day of Yoga. As we all know, it's the 7th time we are going to celebrate this. But unfortunately, because of the current situation, the consulate, we will be celebrating it online. So I would ask all of you who are present here to please tune. You can just go to our social media. We will be having a live program on Zoom, on Facebook, as well as our YouTube channel. So I would request you to please tune in. We will be starting at 11. And we are tentatively having a program which will last only about 1 hour. So I invite all of you to please join us in celebrating this wonderful International Day of Yoga on the 21st of June. That is at 11, from 11 to 12. So once again, thank you very much, Satya, for organizing this program. And I know we are also having a program tomorrow, and I greatly look forward to finally meeting you all in person. Yeah, thank you very much. Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you, Mr. John Rungul. And to now, we are coming to an end for this event. And with this, I would request Mr. Sanjay Tambe, President, Indian Institute IFAO Munich, to provide his closing remarks.
Thank you, and namaste to all. Namaste to everyone who was here today. I know a few of you personally, so I'm with a great pleasure I could listen to the seminar today. Sukhdev ji, Swami Suryananda Saraswati ji, and to see orators and big speakers like Dr. Jivasu, and I would say also from India we had a participation which I did not expect. So it was fantastic to see this versatile happening here in the midst of the Yoga Week, I would say. I just reached here in India today morning, so I'm a little tired. I'm sorry for that. I practiced a lot of yam and niyam on the flight. So I was wearing a mask for almost 12 hours. And I was trying to breathe in and breathe out very deeply, which was a little difficult because of the mask. And I practiced almost, very disciplined yoga while flying to India. So I'm here now for the Yoga Day in India. And I'm very happy to see the developments which have come up in Germany, that a lot of people are coming together, which is also a basic principle of yoga, bringing and uniting people of like-mindedness, same thought principles. So I see that it's a nice family which is coming together, the yoga family, which is bringing us together this Yoga Day. Thanks to the Consulate General of India in Hamburg, Dr. John Rungul, and Dr. Rajesh Mishra ji, who have taken this big opportunity also to organize such an interesting event. And all of you who could participate, the message from Dr. Chinmay Pandya, I took also directly as if it was directly from the source, from the country, Principles of Traditional Yoga Practice. Dr. Jivasu, from his naturality principles, I was got very fond of it to listen about the compassion and love which you need for practice and then leading to creativity. So actually we can carry all these very theoretical principles in a very simple way, which I could hear today and can integrate in my life. Suryananda Saraswati ji, who was there, I mean, sorry, my language is not so sexy. Otherwise, I would have been able to also speak in Sanskrit or Hindi. Italian sounded way better. So I think we should take all these yoga conferences in future in Italian, and we can translate that in different languages. Sounds very nice. You know, you want to hear more and more, even if you don't understand anything. That's the best part of Italian language. And but thanks to the translation, we could all get the core of the message which you were trying to give it to us. Swami Ashokanandaji, who was also participating from USA, who devoted his attention to holistic principles from focusing on mind. I like that idea also very much. And Dr. Nagendraji, who are from Bangalore, who also defined the very basic principle of yoga, and also again the traditional part, how this International Yoga Day has come to picture. Yes, in Indian Institute also we are trying to bring such culture, art and literature of India to the German audience. And thanks to Dr. Rajesh Mishra ji, this is happening very practically everywhere, at least in the northern part of Germany. And he's doing a great work. Many, many thanks to all of you for giving your energy, input and time to the audience. I think this session is recorded, so I'm going to send this link to all my friends, and you can follow up on this. And I presume we can put questions if you have to your link, so that we can get more information from you. Remain healthy. And give your nice thoughts to all other people and to us. And thank you for the blessings which you have given to all of us today. Thank you. Namaste and see you soon.
Also, thanks to Incredible India, who support us, and also same Consulate General of India, Hamburg staff, everyone, they are helping all the way. And Rajni, this beautiful moderation, and also our students within academy or everywhere. Thank you. And thanks to all Gurujan who presents here, and really we need we seek your guidance, blessings. Thank you.